As Ken talks about, we're going into a recession, and a recession means job loss. And we've already started to see that no matter what propaganda the media is throwing at us about hiring being at an all-time high. We all know that most of these jobs are part-time and not great jobs, and a lot of people are getting laid off. I know at MC companies, we've seen a lot more resumes come our way in the past 3 months than we had before. So I really wanted to do a video on what you need to do if you get fired or laid off. And on a personal note, I too have been fired. It's been a long time, but it has happened to me, and I know it sucks, and I know it's depressing, and it's a total slap in the face. But there's reasons behind it. It may be you, or it just may be the company needs to cut back on expenses. When we're going into these recessionary times, companies are trying to cut back, and it's important to not take these things personally. The first piece of advice is you have to stay positive, which is really hard when you lose your job. A lot of times you're sad and angry, but when you take in that negative energy, it really comes out in an interview. I was interviewing a girl the other day actually to work at MC companies. And when I asked her about her former employer, she started going off from an angry place, saying they were disorganized and they didn't treat her fairly and how her boss was crazy, etc. It was coming from a place of anger, but no employer wants to hire somebody that's angry at their last employer. So it really didn't come off across well in the interview. And that's why this positive attitude is so important, because how you feel is going to translate in your interviews. And honestly, getting fired can be a great opportunity. I've known so many people that have lost their job, and the next job they had, they're making more money, they're happier, they're in a better place. So just take it with a grain of salt, stay positive, and follow these next pieces of advice. The second thing you need to do when you get fired is keep the bills paid. When you lose your job, you should not just sit around and look for another comparable job. Even if you have a severance, you do not want to blow through that because you don't know how long this process is going to take. So my recommendation to you is get out there and get a temporary job. Go work at a grocery store, be a server, be a bartender, do some kind of gig work, drive for Uber, anything to bring in some money. You need to look at jobs where you can immediately start working and there's little to no training. This is going to get you some money coming in. It's going to lower your stress, and not having that stress is going to show in interviews and make you present better to your next employer. The third piece of advice is to be selective. Sometimes when we're out of a job, we just want any job to replace that income. And that's why you need to get the temporary job so you have some income coming in. Because the last thing you want to do is take a job you really don't want and then look for another job. Because when you start a job and then quit shortly after, you're burning bridges. You don't know when those burned bridges are going to hurt you in the future. Also, when you jump around from company to company on your resume, it doesn't look good. I know we get a lot of resumes at MC companies, and people that only work at jobs for 3 or 7 months each time, we don't even consider them because we don't think they're going to stay with us a very long time, and it's not even worth it to train them. So you really need to make sure that you're selective on the job you want and you work these other temporary jobs until you find your dream job. Number 4, brush up your resume. There are so many times where people send me a resume that is not up to date. And then when I get them on the phone, they start talking about jobs that aren't even on the resume at all. Make sure your resume is current and it shows all the hard work that you've done up until this point. Construct it for the job that you want. For example, if you're trying to get a customer service position, then every job you should have listed should showcase your customer service experience. You should spin every job you've had to illustrate why you'd be so good in that role. But if you're looking for a sales position, you would then change your resume to showcase the sales work you've done in every single role you've had. When we're flipping through hundreds of resumes, we really need to make yours stand out. And the only way to do that is make it seem like you have a lot of experience in the role that we're hiring for. The last piece of advice is to let people know that you're looking for a job. You know, sometimes when we lose our job, we're so embarrassed and angry about it that we don't really tell anyone, or maybe we only tell our 2 closest friends. But realistically, people would rather hire referrals than people that they don't know off the internet. So if you let your friends and your family and even your whole Facebook or Instagram page know that you're looking for a job, that can be very beneficial in getting the word out there. Make sure your resume is up to date before you start posting, because a lot of times employers want to hire right away and you don't want to have to take the time to go back and edit your resume. All right, so if you lost your job or you got laid off, keep your head up, follow this advice, and I'm sure another job that is better is on the way for you.